So in this lesson, we will apply all these tables in Access. We will implement the tables in Access. We will create tables, real tables in Access from this design here. So basically what I have done is I have superimposed the database on top of the elimination lines here, so that the data is clear. Attribute names are not obscured. We have our labels. So let's try to implement our design into the actual Access application. So let's go to the search button. This is Windows 7, but we all know that there is a search button. Yeah, we search for Access. Windows 10 has the same facility. In fact, when you click on the Windows button, you might see Microsoft somewhere. Yeah, maybe in the Microsoft Office package or something like that. In any case, if you cannot find it, the best way is to start typing Access. It is spelled ACCESS. Yeah, if you type only Access like that, maybe you will never get it and you will think that the application is not there. That is another problem. So spell things correctly and be meticulous when you read review things or reflect on things. Here we have Access. We click on it. It's a blank database. It's not a web database. It's not a recent template. It's none of these. It is a blank database. And we simply say, for the time being, create. It's empty. Yeah, there is nothing there, but we create it. Yeah, save your database. Save it. So save database as. Save database as. So that you can define where to save it. I'm choosing the desktop. For the time being, I will just write lesson 5 database. And my location will be the desktop. Yeah, I will say save. And I will find it on the desktop. Yeah, I go to the desktop and I find the lesson 5 database and I double click on it. Yeah, you will see that our side panel here shows the tables that I've created. You will have no tables, obviously. Yeah, so one is missing. It's this one here, the volunteer table. Yeah, so let's create the volunteer table. So what you do is you have to learn to press the correct tabs up here. We're creating a table, so basically we have to click on create. Table design. Yeah, we're designing a table. So remember, create table design, create table design, create table design. During the exam, you will be in a pickle because you will be wasting time trying to find how to create a simple table. Yeah, now we're doing the volunteer table. The first attribute or field is volunteer ID. If we look at the table, we have as well volunteer mobile and volunteer surname. Yeah, for that table. So volunteer ID, let's copy this, Control C, Control V, and Control V once more. This one will be mobile, yeah, the mobile phone number, and this one will be volunteer surname. You will see that it assigns data types. Do not worry about the data types that it assigns. For you, it might assign by default short text, because the version of Access that I have here has only text, no short text or long text. Yeah, yours will probably say short text or long text. It doesn't really matter. Yeah, ignore the data types for the time being. Don't describe anything. You're just wasting your time. What we need to do now here is, and what you have to learn is to assign the primary key. The primary key is assigned on the volunteer ID attribute. So we go back to the database, we select volunteer ID. So to select a row, you don't go there or there or there. You go and hover on top of the gray space next to the attribute here, next to the row, that, until this bold horizontal arrow appears. You click. When you see that arrow, you click. Now, you can do lots of things with this. You can assign primary key, or you can delete it. You can delete a row. Right click and delete. So then you're missing volunteer ID. You just put it there. You have to practice doing it somehow. So this is very important, this horizontal bold arrow, black arrow that appears here. Click on it and you've selected the row. Then you can work on that row. This row happens to be the primary key, so give it a primary key. Where is the tool to assign it a primary key? It's not here, it's in the design tab. If you lose it, however, just right click on that field, the selected field, and there's the primary key. You can assign it from there. Yeah, so basically it's here, it's in the design tab, there it is. So if you click on it again, if you select the row and click on it again, it goes. If you select another row by accident and you press the primary key, the primary key will be assigned to that row. Be careful where you're assigning the primary key. You will lose points off of your database exam. Yeah, so in this case it's that one. So click on the primary key, takes it from there and it puts it in the correct field. Yeah, that's as far as assigning a primary key to a table. We can close now the table. You don't need to say save, you just close it and it will ask you to save it. Do you want to save changes? Yes, I want to save changes. Volunteer. You can say OK and the table will appear here. There it is. If you create another table with fields and you close the table, say yes, table 1, say OK. Now there is no primary key defined. Yeah, that will remind you as well to define a primary key. So basically once you have created a table, you can't go wrong with a primary key. It will remind you. Yeah, so let me delete this stupid table that I created. So you right click on the table, yeah, and you say delete. You can say rename, delete. Yeah, you have all the options here. I'm deleting it. Say that you have misspelled one of these. Yeah, right click and say rename. Yeah, and you will be able to correct the spelling mistake. Yeah, now we've created the 4 tables. Let's go to the review table that has this issue with the composite keys. All the other tables, the beach table has its primary key in beach ID and it's all ready to go. Yeah, the district table as well. There's a design view of the district table. I've created them. And the volunteer table, again, I show it to you here. Oh, there is no primary key. So we click on the, be careful, yeah? We click on the primary key here and there it is. Yeah, I've put it accidentally on the first field, which is not volunteer ID. Be careful where you're assigning the primary key. It's that one. So I'm closing the table and now I'm reopening it just to make sure. There's the primary key. Be careful. So we close the table and now this concludes lesson 5, which is implementing tables in Access. In the next lesson we will talk about how we relate these 4 tables that we have created. Here we have 4 tables, yeah? How do we actually relate them? Okay, so now let's go to the next lesson.